Hi, my name is Rasmus Kaster. I'm Chief Growth Officer at Copenhagen Optimization, and welcome to today's episode of Optimization Talks. Today we will be talking about the concept of connected operations. Now, the concept of connected operations is an almost all-encompassing topic. So what we'll do today is we'll just take a high-level look at what it means, what's included in it, and then hopefully in the future we'll start to deep dive a little bit into some of the areas. Now, the reason we look at connected operations is because airports today are getting access to more and more data. There's more and more technology that can help facilitate efficient operations and decision making. But this is not only for airports, it's also for the society as a whole. And passengers and partners, stakeholders, their expectations in terms of what we can provide is also increasing. Therefore, it's also really important that we try to leverage what is available to us and start to think about our operations in a slightly different way than what we have probably done historically. So just from the beginning, if we just look at what is connected operations, at the core, we see connected operations as a mindset. It is something that, of course, is facilitated by people, processes, by technology. But at the core, it needs to be a mindset. You don't have a single technology that can implement connected operations. There is no magic bullet in this. A technology can help you. It can enable people, can enable your processes, but it won't give you connected operations. So connected operations essentially is about the organization. It's about people asking themselves, how can I help connect things? How can I, with what I do, help my colleague, help our stakeholders, help our partners provide a better service? How can I make them shine? So you can have a strategy for connected operations as well, and you probably should. But what's important in this is that at the end of the day, this also needs to be something that is continuous. It needs to be something that becomes iterative and a part of the way that your organization works. You cannot at some point say, we're at the finish line, we have connected operations. And that is why it needs to be a mindset. It needs to be something that lives with your employees and lets you continue to always think, how can I, as an employee, help provide a better and more integrated service? Now, to make it a little more tangible, because right now we're flying at pretty high level, we've taken some of the lenses that we use when we regard connected operations. This is not an all-encompassing list. There are tons of different lenses that you can use to look at connected operations. So what we've chosen just to quickly look at today are the operational areas. It is time, it's stakeholders, and it is people. You could also have other things like how can we as a group across airports, or even airports not part of the same group, how can we connect? How can we make the services that we provide to passengers better? If we start looking at the operational areas, this is probably the most straightforward one. It's about, for example, what does it mean that you have a delay in your trains, congestion at the roadways? Does that mean anything for my parking capacity? How does that then impact the lobby, the security operation? It could be, I'm changing the gating on flights. Do they then change how passengers arrive at the immigration checkpoint? Do I move them to a new immigration checkpoint that is already overloaded? Understanding how things will impact each other across the different operational areas is key. Another lens that you can use to look at it is time. And time is about understanding how do different teams and different disciplines, they have been working on different foundations. So you have a long-term capacity planning, master planning team that works on one set of assumptions. But as you get closer to operations, others will take over. You have someone that may need to do budgeting or rostering or tactical planning. Oftentimes, however, they will start on a new set of assumptions. And as you get closer and you have operational planning, you figure out how will the lane plan look on the day exactly, you update them in real time, they may work on a different set of assumptions. But understanding essentially what does the assumptions do? How do I make sure that we all work on the same foundation? And at the end of the day, how do I make sure that I make the right decision at the right time where I have all the input certainty that I can at that point in time, but I also still have the maneuverability to make the decisions that I need to make. And that's why it's so important not to see what you do in time silos, but as a continued effort where we always understand what assumptions lead into what I am doing now, and how do I know, how do I ensure that my operation makes the right decision at the right time where I still have the maneuverability to act. Another way, and we'll just quickly look at this, is across time, and it's also across analytics. It's also understanding how different disciplines, which will oftentimes sit different places in the organization, how do they come together? So you have here Gartner's model. What happened? Why did it happen? What will happen? And how do we change what will happen? These can today be done different places. Some is done in BI, some is done in other IT solutions. How do we make sure that we utilize all of this in the best manner possible? How do we add evaluation to this? How do we make sure that we go from just monitoring to actually actioning and making the right decision, also based on your analytics? The last thing in terms of the lenses that I'll touch upon today is about connecting people and stakeholders, partners. And this might be the most important thing of all of them. Because airports have an environment where there are many stakeholders, there are many partners that have different roles, and they can have different roles based on different operating models. It's really important that we consider how do we make not only the airport controlled operation shine, how do we make the entire airport shine? So what we have here is two icons, one icon for check-in, another for security. Areas that, as we discussed earlier, should be connected. But for each of these areas, we have a lot of people, teams, internal employees that have roles to facilitate parts of this process. At the same time, there will be a lot of external stakeholders and partners, so handlers, airlines, third-party security providers, government agencies that take on other functions. So how do we connect them? How do we make sure that we give the data that is available that will help them make the right decisions? How do we collaborate so we not only make our part of the operation good, but how do we ensure that the airport as a whole profits from this? How do you make your stakeholders shine? And that's essentially also a little bit about the different operating models in airports, where you have, generally speaking, if you look at it, you either have nothing, you don't know what's going on, you can have insights, you can have influence, and you can have control of an operational area or anything else at the airport. And it's about understanding, what do I want to have? Do I want to have insights? Do I want to have influence? Do I want to have control? How do I get there? Even if I don't have control, there's still a lot of things I can do. I can still influence the operation. I can still make others better. It can be my colleagues, it can be external stakeholders, close partners that you work with on a daily basis but may not be part of the airport organization. It can be another airport. But understanding and knowing where you want to go is really important. And there are no operating models that can't use the idea of connected operations. But it is really important to understand what you want to achieve within the framework that you have available. As I said, this has been a very broad topic to begin with. It's been very high level. What we will look to do in the near future is we will look into some more tangible examples of connected operations at airports, some ideas that we have about how operations can be connected. And hopefully you'll tune in and listen to them, watch them as well. But so far, thank you so much for listening in today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.